Good morning. I titled today's Wisdom Wednesday Black Belt Test because I think it's a good example of what I've been thinking about. So, when you enter a sport, especially one like karate, where there's obvious levels, which are measured in belt colors, and black belt being the master, you first start as a white belt, empty knowledge, like a child, receptive, like a blank tabula rasa, blank slate. And you model yourself after the sensei, the teacher, the master. And then you go through a few belt levels, you get better, you enter the intermediate and then advanced class, and then you are asked to you're challenged to make a commitment to become a black belt. And that's where my son is now. He's in the upper belts. He's only a few belts away from being a black belt. The classes get harder. When you first join, it's all about camaraderie, and where we go, it's called Team 3T. And they go, Team 3, who are we? Team 3T, what are we? A family, yay, at the end of each class. But now in the upper classes, it's, I don't want to say more serious and not as fun, but there's a system for weeding out the people who aren't committed to become a black belt at this point. But the classes become more difficult. They are being the students. I'm not in it anymore. I had to quit almost a year ago because of my health. But they're being challenged now with tougher physical standards. Because in the first few belt levels, there's no like physical fitness standards, and now there are. You have to run a certain like a mile or something in a certain amount of time, and it's not extremely tough, but it is a standard to which they will hold every student. And such is the process of mastery. If you're going to get good at something and you want to be a master of it and not just mediocre, you will be challenged to get better and better. And your standards, whether you're held to a standard by a teacher or a company, or if it's your own standard, it should get higher and higher, and it should challenge you. If you're not being challenged, you're probably not, well, I don't want to say where you should be, but if I'm not being challenged, I'm going to look at if I'm where I want to be, where I truly want to be. In not only, like if it's a workplace, a company, if I want to be at that workplace, or if I'm where I want to be mentally, emotionally as well. Um, Another metaphor I like is the acorn. An acorn and some other trees that come from nuts, like walnuts, require a squirrel or something to crack it open. And so it is often for us that we will hide in our shell or stay in a comfortable place until it's cracked open, and then we grow quickly. Um, and in that process of mastery, here's what always happens: you'll fail. Something will go wrong. Just recently, my son didn't advance the next belt, and frankly, he didn't practice. He didn't put in the work. But so let's use that example. Now, my son, you have a choice. You want to quit, or you want to buckle down and do the work required to move up to the next level. If you get stuck there and you're saying things like, well, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, Or in other situations, you might say, God failed me, the universe failed me. So maybe it's not internalized as in I'm a failure, but God failed me. I'm going to project my problem onto something intangible, God, the universe, etc. Well, that's a defense mechanism. You're avoiding the work. Um, I've been thinking about this because I'm reading a book called Mastery, and it made me think about the things that I have become good at. I'd say I'm a master of tarot. Uh, okay, what's the criteria of being a master? When it's a part of your life subconsciously. I will dream of tarot. I will. It is if I've learned a language. It's very much just like a friend of mine was born in San Antonio, Texas, with Mexican parents, and he grew up speaking Spanish and learned English, and he knew he had mastered English when he started dreaming in English. So it's in you subconsciously. That's how I am with tarot and symbolism. I just see the symbols everywhere. That to me is a major criteria for having mastered something. Uh, what's something else? I used to install Dish Network and DirecTV satellite dishes on houses, and I got so good at it I could be driving down the road, see a dish on a house, and know that it's not working because it's not aimed in quite the right direction. Uh, things like that. So it's easy to project. It's easy to say, "Oh, either give up. I'm a failure." Now, that's also not necessarily bad. You might say, "You know what? I thought I wanted to master tarot, but that's not really my thing. I'm more into meditation. I want to master the focus and attention of my mind, let's say. It's more of a mental exercise than the tarot itself, exactly. Things like that. Just be honest, man. Accept the truth. See what I don't know how else to say it besides just be honest about your observations of yourself and everything else, too. It's a process of discovering your strengths and weaknesses and deciding what you want to do with that. Um, like I said, you want to buckle down and get better, or you want to do something else, then do something else. But if you're miserable, look at why that is and do something about it. Or realize you're miserable and you choose to stay miserable. You choose to stay in this miserable job, this soul sucking, miserable place to work because you make $800,000 a year. And you can balance it out because you get to take off work whenever you want and you get enough vacation that you can keep from going crazy, whatever. Um, right. So the way to alleviate or mitigate that depression and despondency that comes with failure is to focus on what you're learning. Okay. And in this book, Mastery, he gives many examples from Henry Ford to uh, lots of other people who have mastered something. The most recent one I just read was about Henry Ford, Benjamin Franklin, and even way back in antiquity before that. But what each of those people have in common is they focus on what they're learning, what they're mastering, not internalizing the criticism of others, let's say. So, where are we on time? 9 minutes. I'm going to do a quick reading. I like tarot. I love tarot. When I first got into tarot, I had no idea I would learn a language. This also reminds me of a Latin phrase, qui docet dicet, he who teaches learns. Teaching is a great way to be aware of what you've learned and be aware of what you don't know. Because students will ask you questions. And eventually they'll ask a question to which you do not know an answer or a complete answer. And it'll make you get better. That's happened with me for sure. Divine oneness of being, ascended masters and teachers are overlying angels and guides and spirit. Thank you for coming close to this time as we gather here together. Ask for light to be shed upon our individual and collective path. Eight of Wands. Eight of Pentacles. 2 8s. Page of Pentacles. King of Cups. No, I'm sorry, Knight of Cups. The Tower. Ace of Pentacles. Oh, this is so obvious. The Chariot. Hierophant. Nine of Pentacles. And the Queen of Swords, of course. Thank you, Deborah. So the Tower in the conscious mind sets the tone. You know, something's being upset. Let's show the audience the Tower card, the blasted tower. Something's upsetting the apple cart. Something is going awry, not going to plan. Now, what's a word? Oftentimes in a tarot reading, the question is whether it's internal or external. Is this stuff going on outside of me, or is it more about what's inside of me? Well, let's see. Below me is the Page of Pentacles, the Student of Healing. Let's call that the Student of Healing. The Eight of Pentacles and Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands, remember, things come together. These parallel wands or poles, staffs, things align, things come together. Eight of Pentacles, the craftsman, the maker, the doer, and can also be like about kind of like he's sitting at a desk, like research or studying or gathering information. In the past, the Knight of Cups, the action or putting emotions into action with your will, and the future Ace of Pentacles. Well, the Blasted Tower and the Ace of Pentacles give it away, and that is the crap's hitting the fan in some kind of way in your life. I'll just say that like it's me. Like the crap's hitting the fan somewhere in my life so I can build something new. The Ace of Pentacles is the new. The Blasted Tower is get rid of the old, and maybe it's violent or chaotic or upsetting, but that's just the way it's going to be. It's not going to be, but that's the way it is. And it comes up because of things I've learned. Sitting at the desk, I'm learning. And the Nine of Cups, I've put my emotions into action. Or as my friend Dawn says, turn your pain into progress. Do something with it. Put it somewhere. Go. So those pentacles come together to tell me that this is an initiation of healing. The Blasted Tower tells me it might not feel great right now, but let it happen and let's get to healing. The Chariot, moving forward, often, directly, with direction, with intention. And also in the Chariot, I see that there's no reins, nothing between me and the horse. So this card helps address the illusion of control. I'm not really in control. I'm a conduit of God's energy and love working through me. I'm not really driving the chariot. The Hierophant is the teacher. I just mentioned that. He who teaches learns. There's another aspect of this card, which to me is the pressure you feel, like the negative side of this card would be the pressure you feel to fit in and obey the rules, but you don't want to. Well, that's an inner conflict, man. So you resolve that. You decide to either reframe your thoughts and feelings about the rules or go somewhere else where those rules that don't apply or something like that. But for me, and in this context, to me, it's more about the teaching part. Nine of Pentacles. I am assessing what I've learned, what I've created so far, and how to use it in the future. Like, hey, like she's saying, I did a damn good job in this garden, and I'm gonna keep going. Queen of Swords. To me, the main feature, because of my teacher Deborah, is healthy boundaries. This card, the Queen of Swords, much about. So here's how I visualize this. Like I'm Queen or King William, and I say, hey, welcome to my kingdom. Glad you could stop by. Got all kinds of cool stuff to do here, but I just have these basic rules that I ask you to follow while you're in my kingdom. If you don't like those rules, go bother one of the other 8 billion people in the world. Don't bother me. So, how do I sum this up? Things are changing, maybe violently, maybe chaotically, maybe upsetting, but they're changing for the good. Healing, the initiation of healing is happening. So trust the process, maintain your boundaries, stay focused on your goal and your goal is not about amount of money or a certain job. Your goal is who you want to become. Stay focused on who you want to become and keep doing that and all will be well. So hope that lends some wisdom to you today. Like I said, any questions or anything, put them in the comments. Ta-ta for now.